Remember, he's accused in the hit-and-run death of a popular bartender back in June of 2023. The victim, 47-year-old Joshua Gilliland, was on his way to work at a local bar when he was hit in the Crosswalk. Now, prosecutors claim Janik was drunk at the time and ran a red light before hitting the victim. Now, Janik is also facing charges that he left the scene and tried to cover up his crimes. Well, earlier today, the man who replaced Janik's windshield testified that it didn't just have a crack in it, it was smashed. And right now, Juan Garcia, an investigator with National General Insurance, is on the stand. He's on direct examination. Let's get you back inside that courtroom.
305945 involving Brandon Janik?
Yes, I was.
And what type of thing was that?
This was an auto accident, single vehicle auto accident.
And why was that claim assigned to the Special Investigations Unit?
So this one was referred to my team due to possible material misrepresentation of the facts of loss. There was also a temporary substitute vehicle, a loaner vehicle, if you will, that was also involved. So those were the main reasons they sent it to my team.
Generally, what do you do when you're assigned to a claim?
The first thing I do is review the entire claim file. That's all the notes that are in there, everything that's been done prior to me getting it, listening to all the phone calls that are in there, reviewing all photos, estimates, making sure I review every single piece of information. That's step one. Step two is formulating that plan of action that meets the standards of our claims department. That's typically where I start.
Can you briefly describe your plan of action?
So my plan of action usually entails one, running backgrounds on the parties involved. That's reviewing their prior claims history, how many accidents they've been involved in, their policy, is it enforced, is it not enforced, how many vehicles are on there. It involves completing a scene canvas, getting a recorded statement, basically getting as much information as possible and concluding it with getting a recorded statement, and sometimes we utilize an expert to render an opinion.
So in this case, you listened to that first notice of loss call, right?
Yes, I did.
And was that first notice of loss call completed on June 15th of 2023?
That is correct, yes.
Was it approximately made at 12:49 p.m.?
Correct, yes.
And what happened when that call came in?
So that call came in, and what was reported was a single vehicle accident. Mr. Janik called in reporting he was in a loaner BMW. His 08 BMW M3, if I'm not mistaken, was at the dealership, BMW dealership, getting worked on. And he reported he had gotten off work at approximately 10:45 p.m. the day prior, which is June 14th, 2023. And as he was reversing into his parking deck, his parking stall, if you will, the vehicle parked immediately on his left-hand side was a truck, was parked too close to the line. So as he's reversing, he accidentally dinged the door. The door made contact with the fence, the gate, if you will.
Was that first notice of loss call made with Brian Ship?
Correct, yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'm going to play People's Exhibit 70. I'd also ask it to be admitted with that stipulation number 10 for its foundation.
Any objection to the court's receiving People's Exhibit 70?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, People's 70 is received, so you may publish.
It is associated with People's Exhibit 70A, the transcript. So we'd ask that that be passed along to the jury right now.
Are you seeking to admit People's 78?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Without objection, Your Honor.
78 is received, so that it may also be published.
I'm going to play that recording for you. I just ask you to listen to it with us together.
Please have transcripts back.
What happened?
It's the wrong transcript, Your Honor.
Okay, counsel, you're responsible for the transcript. Do you need to be heard?
No, I don't.
Were the other transcripts collected?
Yes.
I'm going to play that call in its entirety. It's approximately 14 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay, we don't have time to do that, I'm sorry. We need to break early for lunch. So why don't you move on to a different area and we can come back to that.
Okay. After you did that first notice of loss call, what did you do next?
So I myself that was June 15th when the claim was reported. I myself was assigned to this claim on the 24th of June. That's when it first came to me for review. I believe I completed all of my backgrounds on the 3rd of July. And typically when I complete all my background initial searches and file review, I do reach out to the parties involved. So I did make that initial contact with Mr. Janik on July 3rd. And that conversation was simply letting him know that the claim was under review with my team now and that I'd be following up with him. I did request photos of the gate and fence that date, and they were received on July 6th, if I recall correctly, so 3 days later.
So you communicated initially with Mr. Janik via text message, is that right?
I believe, I usually do phone call, and if people don't answer, I also try text, so I might have tried both. I don't fully recall.
Okay, so you first called and left a voicemail for Mr. Janik?
Correct.
All right, and then after that, did he give you a call back?
I believe he called immediately back, if I recall, yes.
Okay, so turning to what's in front of you is People's Exhibit 71, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
I believe this is the voicemail I left him.
And can you flip through that exhibit there on People's Exhibit 71? Does it appear to be fair and accurate as to your communications with Mr. Janik between July 3rd, 2023 and July 20th, 2023?
That is correct, yes.
The people seek to admit People's Exhibit 71.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
People 71 is received.
And the people are requesting it be published to the jury.
Any objection?
None, Your Honor.
Is that the exhibit that was previously handed out?
No,
What number was previously handed out?
70.
No, I mean mistakenly.
I didn't see the one that was mistakenly handed out, Your Honor. It may have been 72A. Yes, it was 72A.
You may hand out 71A.
Sorry?
All right, they have some housekeeping issues to fix up there with Juan Garcia, the investigator for the insurance company, on the stand. And why his testimony is important is essentially the defendant left the scene, or at least that's the allegations by the state. And as he was trying to get the car fixed up, and after the accident happened, or the killing of the victim per the state, he started telling stories to various investigators and folks who were fixing the car, and those things, at least the state wants to show, were lies. So that's part of what this testimony is about. All right, looks like they've gotten things fixed up, so let's get back inside that courtroom.
19.
Can you explain generally just what you're saying in that voicemail?
So I'm basically letting him know that this claim was referred over to the Special Investigations Unit. There is an unlisted vehicle, meaning a vehicle not on his policy, that was involved. And per the file notes, it was regarding him backing into his parking deck. I let him know it was referred over to the SIU team, my team, and that I would be touching base with him, but I did want to see if he had any photos of any of the property damage involved, the fence, the vehicle, etc. I did let him know, obviously it was around 4th of July holiday, that I would be out on the 4th and I would return on the 5th. I requested a call back.
And after you left that voicemail, did you receive an immediate call back from Mr. Janik?
To my recollection, yes, I did.
And what, if anything, did he tell you?
From my recollection, he said he acknowledged that it was with my team. I did request photos. He said of the fence. He said he would provide those to me, and those were received a few days later. I did let him know I'd be following up for a recorded statement to schedule it, and he acknowledged that and understood.
So on July 5th, 2023, did you receive a text from Mr. Janik?
It was either the 5th or the 6th. I received photos of the fence, yes.
Okay. So turning to the following page of that text message. Is that top one from you?
Yes, correct.
And what did you say?
I received a text message from him, and I acknowledged it, and I let him know that there was no photos received, and I asked him to please resend those photos.
And then shortly after, did Mr. Janik resend those photos?
Yes, he did.
And then what did he say next?
I just acknowledged that I received the photos, and I thanked him.
All right, turning to People's Exhibit 82 and 83, which I believe are in front of you.
Okay, hold on one moment. I may have misspoken. So those are all People's Exhibit 71. There is no 71A, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I misspoke. So those are all People's 71, which has been received. There is no 71A. We are going to need to break early for lunch. So before you move on to the next exhibit, we're going to break. We will come back at 1:30. Please make sure you leave your notebooks and your transcripts in your seat.
All right, as they take a break, we'll do the same. Now, when we come back, well, before we do that, I want to get a quick programming note in. Melody Ferris's defense team, they're going to join Vinnie Politan live tonight on Closing Arguments. John Weaver and Michael Ray will discuss today's guilty verdict and what is next for Melody Ferris. It's an interview you do not want to miss. I know I'll be watching. Tune into Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan Tuesday night at 8 Eastern right here on Court TV. All right, we'll take that break now. When we come back, we'll have more testimony in the Killed in the Crosswalk murder trial. So keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a verdict has been reached in the Burn Pile murder trial. We'll break down the jury's decision and what's next for Melody Ferris.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
As America votes, stream Scripps News for your national election coverage.
You do not want to miss this.
Get live updates all day Tuesday. Watch Scripps News for free on all your favorite streaming services.
Welcome back. Before we get you back to the Killed in the Crosswalk murder trial in California, we do want to let you know about a new case that Court TV is covering. Jury selection began today in the burned alive murder trial of Craig Lewis in South Carolina. He's charged with murder in the death of his wife, Terry. Prosecutors say he assaulted her over the course of 2 days and then set her on fire on January 16, 2019. Now, at that time, he faced multiple charges, including attempted murder, domestic violence, and arson. Well, Terry then died about 10 months later, and then the charges against Lewis were upgraded to murder. Today, the defense tried to get the trial continued, saying they just received a voluminous amount of documents, reports, and video evidence. They also filed a motion to compel, saying they want evidence collected at the scene that the state did not test. They also want the logs pulled from the defendant's phones that were seized. Well, the judge determined that the trial will go on as planned. Opening statements are expected to begin tomorrow morning. Our Court TV cameras will be there to bring you all the developments in that case. Let's turn back now to the Killed in the Crosswalk murder trial of Brandon Janik. Now, he's accused in the hit-and-run death of a popular bartender, Joshua Gilliland. Prosecutors say Janik was drunk at the time and ran a red light and then hit Gilliland. I want to get you back into court now where an insurance investigator is testifying about the claim that was made for that accident.
So, Mr. Garcia, when we left off, we were talking about those text messages between you and Mr. Janik. And you testified that you received 2 photos from Mr. Janik, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
And what were the 2 photos of?
Those 2 photos were of the alleged fence gate that the vehicle struck.
And you see People's Exhibit 82 and 83 in front of you.
Yes, I do.
Do you recognize those?
Yes, I did.
What do you recognize them to be?
These were the photos that I received via text message of the fence/gate that the vehicle struck.
And do those appear to be fair and accurate as the same photos that you received from Mr. Janik?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, people seek to admit Exhibit 82 and 83.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Peoples 82 and 83 are received.
May I publish to the jury?
You may.
Up on the screen is People's Exhibit 82. Is that one of the same photos that's in front of you?
Yes.
And next I'm showing you People's Exhibit 83. Is that the other photo?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you notice about these photos?
The lack of damage to the fence or gate.
Now, prior to sending these text messages, you had listened to a first notice of loss call, right?
Yes.
And before I asked you if that call was at 12:49 p.m., but that was actually East Coast time, right?
Correct, yeah. All of our file notes are listed under Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So was that call at 9:49 a.m. in West Coast time?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So I believe that People's Exhibits 70 and 70A have already been received, and I'm going to play that recording for the jury. This recording is about.
Please listen carefully as a.
This recording is about 14 minutes and 41 seconds long.
Para español, oprima 7. Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed. If you know the extension number of the person you are calling, please enter it now. To dial by name, press the pound key. To dial by claim number, press 1. To report a new claim of any kind, including glass-only damage and towing or roadside assistance, press 2. To hear options for... To report a glass-only claim, press 1. For towing or roadside assistance not related to an accident, press 2. To report any other type of new claim, press 3. To return to the previous menu, press 4. To report a glass-only claim, press 1. For towing or roadside assistance not related to an accident, press 2. To report any other type of new claim, press... To report a claim for your automobile or motorcycle, press 1. For a homeowner's or renter's claim, thank you for your patience. Policyholders can also file a claim online by visiting us at esurance.com or logging in via the eSurance mobile app.
Thank you for calling the claim reporting department. My name is Brian. Can I have the policy or the claim number you're calling about that?
1 second, I'll pull up that policy, I'm sorry. The policy is PACA 008-163-839. All right, it's going to be a new claim. Yeah. Yeah.
When did it happen?
This was last evening. Yeah. Working. My address is 4065 Iowa Street. It's still listed as apartment 10, but it's actually apartment 2 now. And that's San Diego, California, 92104. And then it's not actually my car, it's a loaner car from the dealership. Next week, even worse.
All right, so we'll get to hear more of that phone call when he calls in the issue with the damages for that insurance claim in just a minute. But I want to bring in our guest now. Joining us this hour is criminal defense attorney Laura Yaretsian. Laura, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me on the program this hour. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Tell the folks what the state is trying to do right now. What they're showing, this insurance call, he basically calls in some damage and tries to explain it away. I think he says the dents on the car were caused by hitting a fence. So those lies are important for their case.
Of course they are. The prosecution is going to win some points for showing that he's lying, because that also goes to consciousness of guilt, right? Usually people lie when they think that they've done something wrong, and that's going to go to that. And he just doesn't look good. Anyone who's a liar and the jury sees that, it's not going to be helpful for that defendant or the defense. And that's exactly what the prosecution is trying to do.
Yeah, now he did, as you said, he left the scene of this hit and run, according to the state, and eventually he tries to death. Now, this car that he's driving, this particular BMW, is actually a loaner. It took the state a long time, it took investigators a very long time to trace it to him. His car was at the BMW dealership for service. And so he left the scene of the accident. Now, something that happened prior to the accident, he was involved and he was sleeping on the side of the road. Some folks helped him out. He denied treatment by paramedics and left. One of the things the defense is claiming is they have no evidence of the fact that he was drunk at the time that he hit the victim in this case. Very important, because if it would be a second DUI, which would put him in case of murder and could put him away for the rest of his life. And they're trying to say there's no evidence of that. Did he do the right thing in leaving? Because a lot of states don't allow you to do that. Now, it wasn't the police who showed up. They were too busy. They couldn't make it over to where he was found sleeping on the side of the road, but he left the paramedics. Was that a smart move by him?
Well, you know what? Look at what we're dealing with here. He leaves, and someone has obviously been killed as a result of this collision. Can the prosecution really prove that this was a driver who was under the influence? I'm not quite sure if they can do it. I don't know what the rest of the evidence is, but once a person leaves the scene of the collision, and if a number of hours have passed since that time, it's tough to be able to establish what their blood alcohol content was. And in this case, I mean, they are relying on the DUI to get that murder charge established, right? Because what happens generally in California, if you've been arrested for one DUI and you've been convicted of that DUI, usually they give you what we call the Watson murder advisement. And that basically puts you on notice that if you ever drive while under the influence and someone dies, then the state can go after you, not just for vehicular manslaughter or gross vehicular manslaughter, but they can go after you for murder.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that was back in 2016, and in fact he is, again, this raised the stakes for him because he is facing murder charges. Right, Laura, stand by.